for the ride home in ENC.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
This is your 5 o'clock drive with Patrick Johnson.
Holy mackerel!
More news, more interviews, more ECU stories than you can shake a stick at. Hey, stop shaking that stick. This is the Patrick Johnson Show.
Pirates win! Pirates win!
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome in. It is the Get You to the Weekend edition of the PJ Show. We got a lot to get to here in the next hour. Thanks for being with us as we welcome Brian Mull coming up in a little bit. Mull, of course, will talk some college hoop with us. We've got Pirate basketball tomorrow, 3:30 airtime on the ECU Sports Network here on 94.3 The Game and 107.9 WNCT. Other stations across the Fruited Plain, as it'll be East Carolina playing host to UNC Greensboro. I'll be on the television call of that for ESPN+. Philip is here. We'll hear from him in a moment or at some point during the show. But right now we go to New Orleans, where our great friend Rene Ingolia from ESPN College Football is with us. Rene will be on the pregame show that is being done on ESPN+ and on the American Conference's website. That's in advance of the American Conference Championship tonight at 8 o'clock. As it is North Texas and it is Tulane. All right, we're going to talk about that, but we say hello to Rene. How are you, my friend?
Good, PJ. How you doing?
Doing well. I'm not in New Orleans. Is there a New Orleans go-to deal for you, food-wise, or I want to go somewhere so I can experience? What do you got?
So you want to laugh? There's always one city every year that it turns out in my travels for college football season, I end up there more than others, and it's New Orleans this year. I started in week 0 flying into New Orleans because I did Nichols State in week 0 in the FCS, and then obviously I've done Tulane and Army, so I've been back for a Tulane game, and now I'm here for the championship, and then I'll be back for the New Orleans Bowl December 23rd. So it looks like New Orleans is in. Now we do have a big meal plan. My partner, Courtney Lyle, her husband's coming, is a big foodie. So he's already got reservations. So we're going to do like a really big dinner. I want it to be kind of like a Christmas dinner for our crew. So I'm looking forward to that. When I'm on by myself, though, I'm like a burger guy. I'm not I'm not fancy when I'm by myself.
I got you. Look, long as the hotel coffee is decent, we can all survive these things. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I always have it.
Right, you got to coffee up. I've gotten to the point now because I drink a lot of coffee in the morning, especially doing morning radio and all of this for a gazillion years. But then when I have a game or a show that's at night, I usually get one, just to kind of coffee up a little bit, have some caffeine. So it's probably not healthy, but I mean, at least it gets me through.
Try being a detective for 20 years. When you get called in at 3 in the morning, I used to drink. I literally drink like 2 pots of coffee a day for like 15 straight years of my life. So it does nothing to me. It's just social now.
Pilk, that's why it explains the energy Rene always brings, right? He's still got this caffeine coursing through his veins, right?
Yeah, my theory was always that he used to get an IV of Red Bull, but I guess this makes logical sense.
Yeah. Rene's a coffee guy. The great Rene Ingolia with us here. I do want to talk about the game tonight, but I want to start with the ACC championship tomorrow night. My dad, you know him well, very excited. The Dukies are in the title. Pilk is going. Are you still going, Pilk? Pilk is going to the championship game.
Yeah, I'm actually texting my buddy who I'm going with right now about tickets. So, yep.
Okay. So may I give you my thought on tonight or tomorrow night, excuse me. Duke will get no calls. The ACC has told the officials, do not call anything against Virginia and do not call anything in favor of Duke. Call everything on Duke. Duke will not get a break tomorrow night.
Just, the way this season has gone, first of all, the craziness with all the coaches leaving, right? I mean, it's just out of control. You just feel like Duke's going to win this game, right? I mean, and first of all, let me back up. And when I talked to you last time, I mentioned Tony Elliott. What an outstanding job Tony Elliott has done. ACC Coach of the Year, deserves it. He's going to be up there for National Coach of the Year as well. I mean, tremendous job. But you just feel like Duke sitting there at 5 losses is going to step up and play really good defense. And how about this, PJ? I don't know if you realize this. both quarterbacks in the ACC championship game were the quarterbacks on the two teams that are in the American championship game tonight. How about
Yeah.
that, right? So Chandler Morris and Darian Mensah. So, yeah, it would not surprise me if Duke wins that game. And I just think defense, if they do, their defense is going to step up. But it would fit with the craziness of college football. But to your point, I know what you're alluding to. Does the ACC get left out? I say no, because I do think, and I know this question is coming, so I'm going to say it. I think if BYU loses, they're going to put Miami, the committee's going to put Miami and Notre Dame right next to each other, and then that head-to-head is going to come into play. I think they're going to flip Miami over Notre Dame and put Miami in, so the ACC will get one. That's my opinion, what I think is going to happen, but it's why we love college football, because of this craziness.
So you're telling me that Scott Inez's heart will be broken when the Notre Dame Fighting Irish potentially are
a lot of Notre Dame people. Listen, I think, and for the record, I think Notre Dame right now, watching them, is a better team. But when and I think the committee thinks they're the better team as well. Obviously, they have them ranked ahead of them. But when it comes down to the metrics, and you look at all the metrics and whatever ones you use, but same record, strength of schedule, strength of record, they're all so close. Head-to-head has to come into play. Has to.
The winner of tonight's American Championship game is in. Tulane, North Texas. Whoever wins is in. So I mean, this is compelling tonight because it is a true kind of elimination, survive, and advance kind of game. And to me, that's very exciting. We'll get into that game in a moment, but I do want to ask you this. Is there a scenario you see the ACC being left out and indeed maybe James Madison getting in?
Yeah. No, absolutely. So if they depending on what BYU looks like, they could elect not to jump Miami over Notre Dame and put Notre Dame in. If that happens and Duke wins, then yeah, I think I had JMU last week. They're a tremendous team. Now, people will point to their record and their wins, and I know my colleague Heather Dinich does that with P4 wins, and obviously they're a group of 5 team. They don't have their P4 wins, but one thing they do, PJ, is they dominate. Their one loss was to Louisville in the ACC, and then they had that tight game with Washington State that they came from behind one. Other than that, they dominate. So yes, to answer your question, I do think this could be the year, if Duke wins, where 2 group of 5s get in. And obviously, the committee's already forecasting that, right? Because look where they ranked 3 group of 5s. And you already mentioned it. The American winner is in. This is a playoff game championship to get into the CFP. And then the other thing, too, is, JMU is favored by 22.5 points versus Troy. I had Troy early in the year. Good team. They've had a nice season. JMU is far and away the best team in the Sun Belt. And and they get this game at home, I would expect them to come out and cover that spread by 22.5 and look really good.
They hire Billy Napier, JMU does. That was announced overnight. What do you, is that a good hire, in your opinion?
I mean, listen, I had Billy Napier a bunch of times when he was at Louisiana, and I think that's what appealed to JMU is the success and the Sun Belt championships Napier had at Louisiana in the Sun Belt. So, yeah, I think it's a good hire. Listen, you're a group of 5 program, you're really good, and you get a head coach that just came, from the Power 4 in the SEC. You can't really, be too mad at that hire. I think he's going to do well there. And it's just, but the coaching carousel, it's like I ticked off a lot of the JMU fans because during my broadcast, I said, listen, as soon as the first domino falls, which was Lane Kiffin, everything was going to go into place after that, which we knew. And I said, Bob Chesney is smack dab one of those dominoes. Now, I honestly thought Penn State was going to take him. He's a Pennsylvania guy. It would have been a dream job. For whatever reason, Penn State shied away from him. UCLA swoops in, and look at the mess Penn State's in. If they don't get Matt Campbell, sure. I don't know what they're going to do. But yeah, it's phenomenal. The 2 coaches tonight in the American, they're both leaving, and then Bob Chesney and JMU's leaving, and it's just been a wild year.
The Rochester Rocket, Rene Ingolia, joining us here on the Patrick Johnson Show. I want to ask you, you bring that up. So, Saban, another one of your colleagues, says, we need to avoid having the P5 the G5 have entry automatically or what have you. Yet Everybody in the SEC sure as hell liked those American coaches, didn't they?
Yeah, I know. So, and here's the thing, no one's saying that if Tulane or North Texas gets in, right, they're going to run the table and win it. Like, no one's really saying that. But the opportunity just to make it, right, that's what this is about as a group of five program.
Well, look at March
North
Madness.
Texas.
Look at March
Correct.
Madness, Rene. That's, yeah.
Well, the argument there is, in basketball, we've had Cinderella runs to at least a Sweet 16 and Final Four and stuff like that. It's going to be really hard for a group of five team just because of the depth of roster to make a run. Heck, if a group of five team can get in there and win a first round game, which is going to be on the road, that would be a tremendous story. But everyone's missing the point. It's like the opportunity of a lifetime for these programs and these kids to get in there and get a shot at it. That's all they're asking for is a shot. Now, the higher ups are like, well, they shouldn't be taking a spot away from it. Hogwash, man. Give them an opportunity. It's one spot of 12. Pretty soon it's going to be one spot of 16 because let's face it, whoever gets left out, PJ, right? We can agree that it's going to be someone that's really good. So a Notre Dame, a Miami, a Brigham Young, a Utah, a Vanderbilt, right? I mean, there's going to be teams, and again, I hate to use the word deserving because there's a lot. All those teams are deserving. So you're going to have 1, 2, or 3 teams left out that could have easily made this playoff. That is going to spur this thing to go to 16. They've already expanded the deadline when they can from the December 1st, which when they had to make that decision on if they were going to expand. They've already went into, I think, to the middle of January. So they just need to pull the SEC, not the SEC, the Big Ten on board. And then I think it'll go to 16 next year. I really do.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think that will happen. All right, let's talk tonight's game. As we've stated here, an elimination game between Tulane and North Texas. Tulane being at home probably helps their cause a little bit. So you're hosting the pregame on ESPN Plus for this and through the American Conference and the website online for the Americans. So give us the primer and how do you see it turning out tonight?
So it's interesting. There's only 7 teams in the nation that went undefeated on the road this year. North Texas is one of them. They went 5-0. So although this is a championship game, it's at Tulane. So it's another road game for them. So they play well on the road. I will say this. It's kind of in the 50s. So the temperature is not an issue, but it's been very rainy in New Orleans. It's supposed to rain again today. John Summerall, if you ask him, the coach at Tulane, Florida coach, but still coach at Tulane, he wants it to rain because North Texas – I did the game against Charlotte where Mestamaker set the record, 608 yards. He could have easily thrown for 700 yards in that game. He had some drops. North Texas will challenge you down the field vertically, crossing routes. They're going to put a lot of pressure on the secondary of Tulane. And when they do that, they have a 1,200-yard rusher and freshman Caleb Hawkins. So they have a running game as well, too. So they're going to put a lot of stress on that Tulane defense. Tulane offensively with Jake Retzlaff needs to run the ball. They need to control the line of scrimmage. They need to slow the game down and keep that high tempo, high-powered offense in North Texas off the field. So that's what I'm going to be watching for. So, yeah, Summerall wants it to rain. Eric Morris wants it nice and clear to throw that thing and go fast. So it's going to be an interesting matchup tonight. I can't wait to watch this one.
Of the departing American coaches, who do you see having the most success at their next stop?
John Summerall. I've always been a very high John Summerall fan, very high on him. I think he's an excellent hire. And you already see, I love this press conference where he said, they asked him about, friends. He goes, I don't hire friends. I hire people who fit into the program I'm at, who are going to do a good job. And you already see it. He didn't take his coordinators with him. He took out, home run hires. He gets the coordinator from Georgia Tech, right? And Georgia Tech matched that money. He said, no, I'm going to go with Summerall of Florida, defensive coordinator at Kentucky. So he does what's right for the program. Home run hire. Alex Golish, to me, super intriguing because I loved what he's done at USF. And I think his offense is going to be really fun at Auburn. So, yeah, it's an interesting time for sure. But, yeah, once again, not only do the American coaches get pillaged, right? The American teams do, because let's not forget, 4 teams have been taken out of the American to the Power 4, right? UCF, Houston, Cincinnati, and then SMU to ACC. So the American loses 4 teams. They lose a bunch of coaches every single year almost. And yet the American champion is still going to be in the CFP. That says a lot about the conference.
Absolutely. Hey, Rene, great to talk to you. Enjoy the game tonight and the pregame. And obviously, you'll have a lot of assignments during the bowl season. We'll catch up with you in a few weeks to talk some more college ball.
Yeah, and if for some reason we don't, Merry Christmas, PJ. Great talking to you, buddy.
Appreciate it. Good to see you again. All right, stay tuned. Our great friend Brian Mull talking college hoops when we come back on the Get You to the Weekend edition of the Patrick Johnson Show.
Back to the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back. We got a jam-packed show, so let's get started.
Deep breath. Here we go.
All right, TGIF, we made it. Friday on the PJ Show. Great to have you along this afternoon. Let's go to the port city of Wilmington. One of our great friends. Always great to have Brian Mull on. Been reading his work and others of his colleagues' work in the Blue Ribbon. This is the time of year when you're playing these teams. That's a great starting point, the Blue Ribbon yearbook in basketball. Still plenty of time to order that. I would encourage you to do so if you're a college hoops junkie like I am and like Brian Mull is. We welcome him at BG Mull on X to the program. All right, Brian, let's just start with, and I'm going to ask you about East Carolina. I want to talk some ACC stuff as well, but let's start with, you and I and Pilk were discussing it right before we went on here in the break, how just fantastic college basketball was on Thanksgiving. In fact, there was the old meme going around on social a year ago, wired and tired. I would say tired the football and wired the basketball, because they were just fantastic matchups all the way around.
No doubt. Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for having me. We've got a great freshman class. We've got a solid group of returning players across the country as well, and we're getting these matchups that we've kind of longed for in the past. Teams are not. Coaches realize there's very little value either in developing their team, which everybody has to do because everybody's starting from scratch for the most part, or for postseason ambition. There's nothing, no reason to sit at home and just beat up on teams that are not going to help you and give you the quad 1 and 2 opportunities, especially if you don't think you're going to get those within conference play. And what it's made for is some just compelling non-conference basketball, great action. They've changed some of these tournaments a little bit. These early season tournaments where there's more fixed matchups, and it's not really following the tournament bracket format. So that kind of guarantees TV that they're going to get some marquee games, and across the board. Even down the tournament that had Liberty and Rhode Island and Towson down at Disney World. I mean, that was just a nice collection of mid-majors, mid-majors that are going to try to contend for their league down there. So, I mean, I think, it's, hats off to John Shire for elevating Duke's schedule, and Hubert Davis, another solid schedule for the Tar Heels as well. And, just scheduling the games that you got to find out what do you have and who combinations. And develop. You're really developing a team. I mean, we see some of these games in November, and I don't think you would have said the end of North Carolina, Kentucky, or Duke, Florida were aesthetically pleasing necessarily. But the offenses will get better, and the defenses are taking form.
Well, when it's tournament time too, the way they let everybody grab everybody and beat everybody up, you're going to have games that are going to be grinders like that down the stretch that are still be competitive. I'll say this, and there's a lot wrong with college basketball, trust me. But the regular season, when compared to college football, I get the college football regular season, I would say about 60% of the time you got bangers. But we had weeks during the last month and a half where it was like, woof. And I understand these, schedules are done way in advance and that kind of thing. But with all that said, they're the way they pick their postseason sucks. It's terrible. It has always been terrible, and it is a fallacy in the process. With college basketball, everybody says, "Oh, the regular season is not worth watching." You just outlined right there why it is, because literally every one of your 31 occasions, or ever how many you play in the regular season, is a test that goes towards your conference championship in March, and then the national championship if you're able to make the tournament. So, I mean, right there, it is probably a little bit more of a thinking man's game than than some that are less initiated. And they say, look, well, Tobacco Road ain't what it once was. Okay, it's not. I'll give you that. But it's compelling. These matchups we're seeing even this weekend are compelling. And I'll bet you across the board, there'll be more compelling basketball matchups just due to the sheer number, but also there'll be more compelling endings and interesting games in basketball than we might see tonight and tomorrow night in the college football championship for the conferences. Again, this is a flawed system there. But I just react to that, Brian. I'm kind of putting your statement over. So mine over and make seem like the smartest guy in the room, which I aspire to be, but never am.
Well, it is your show, Patrick, and but I do agree. And if you remember, the conference championships in football, like some of them can almost hurt a team by qualifying for that and losing, which is kind of silly. If you think about it, there's a couple of teams in that spot going into the weekend. And also, if we think back to the first round games, if you will, last year in the football playoff, where you had a home team just destroying some visitor, and it's a moving target there. I mean, the rationale, the whole well, Vandy didn't get any credit for beating Tennessee because Tennessee dropped out of the playoff, but Alabama got credit for winning at Auburn. But both rivalry games, both on the road, because it was a close game, and they really made some good plays down the stretch against a team with a losing record. It just kind of shows you what you're dealing with on that side. I mean, the guy, every time that he starts talking there, I don't know if he should be running a circus or a football playoff or what. It just feels like. Some of the complaints we used to have with basketball years ago, like it's a moving target. How do you schedule? And I think now that the basketball coaches have figured it out and how to not game the system, but make sure that they're playing games that are going to help them come Selection Sunday.
The great Brian Mull, he, of course, basketball, golf writer at large, joining us here on the Patrick Johnson Show. We have a game that may not be as compelling tomorrow. I'm calling it, so I'm interested in it, and that is East Carolina playing host to UNCG. Now, Greensboro comes in just 1-8, but if you look at who they played and what they've done, this is a club that has traditionally been very, very solid under Mike Jones. And if you don't know the name Mike Jones, you need to learn it because he's probably one of the bright. I don't know how young Mike is now, but he's a bright coach who doesn't get his just desserts, and they'll be ready tomorrow. I think they're viewing tomorrow as, okay, we've got to turn this thing around. Here's our chance to do it.
Yeah, Mike is just a basketball lifer. Father played for the old Baltimore Bullets in the ABA back in the day, and he was a member of Shaka Smart's staff in 2011 Final Four squad. Of course, all those assistants and many of the support staff are head coaches across Division I now, and had a nice run at Radford. And you look at the last 3 years at Greensboro, 20-win seasons, 39-13 in the Southern Conference. He's lost some guys off of his staff, which I think has probably hurt a little bit. And they're in a situation with NIL where they don't have a lot. And, he's done what some mid-majors have done, gone the high school route, and recruited some guards that probably he would not have been able to get years ago. KJ Younger the kid out of Matthews. He would have been on an ACC bench 5 years ago, but he started, and with starting a couple of freshman guards, they've had some growing pains. They've struggled a little bit against, like you said, a challenging schedule. They've played 2 home games, which is kind of just what a school at that level is dealing with, and back on the road tomorrow. And that's a team that will get better. They've been giving up a high percentage of threes, which they probably don't have to worry about too much against the Pirates. They'll. Mike's run a good program. He knows what he's doing. Those jobs have never been easy at that level, and they're harder than ever. Just when you can simply be outspent, even within your own conference.
The great Brian Mull joining us here. Pirates get a victory against Maryland Eastern Shore. Big Cleo Hill Jr. fan, by the way. Good. It's a solid cat there. That guy is. Had the suit on. He looked quite dapper, I might add, on Tuesday night, whenever it was. And, I look at this. To me, if you look at the last 3, certainly the last 2 games, it now finally seems like, and Pilk and I were talking about this on the show the other day, where Jordan Riley is starting to come into his own a little bit. When the game slowed down for R.J. Felton became a guy that could play, at least in the G League, and earn money professionally, because he had all of the gifts and athletic tools. It's just he needed to become a basketball player. And I think we're seeing that now with Jordan Riley, in that he is slowing down. His floor game is starting to get better. The defense and athleticism have always been there, and he's made a few threes. So I do really think if the Pirates harbor any hopes of, okay, we're going to try to make a run at this thing and really be ramped up and ready to go, or we'll be competitive in the American, the way to do that is Jordan Riley needs to continue to play at the level he's playing. I think he's been fantastic the last couple of games against, in the case of St. Bonaventure at least, very comparable competition to what he'll see in the American Conference.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he's clearly the alpha on that team, and they need him to not only produce from a scoring perspective night in and night out, but he's got to make his teammates better and, be the guy that they can kind of play off of. And, you look at ECU, they went through a stretch there where they gave up 42 threes in a 3-game run there against Wilmington, Charleston Southern, and Michigan State. And obviously it's very difficult to overcome that. But I think you've seen the defense that Mike Schwartz expects pick up the last couple of games, and maybe an identity forming here with this team. They're going to have to win some ugly. They're not a team that's going to be able to just get up and down and they're going to have to grind out some wins in the 60s and the low 70s and start that on the defensive end and hope that the shooting improves and that, they can force a few more turnovers and get a few more easy baskets somehow. It feels like they just haven't at times been able to create a lot of easy offense. But this is a stretch for, 4 home games in a row. Actually, it will end up being 5 and an opportunity to build some momentum going into Christmas and then, of course, conference play. But I agree that, it's, again, you can't write the book on any of these teams in late November, early December. And what you see now is not necessarily what you're going to see. And I'm sure, the coaches are working around the clock to figure out how to get these guys in the best position. And, you hear coaches all the time say that, they're kind of figuring out what guys can really do and, what they can do in practice in July or August isn't necessarily what they can do in a game against real like competition in November and December. So, the Pirates, it starts for them, I think, on the defensive end. This is a team that's, basically an average defensive team right now by Ken Palm standards. And
Sure.
that's a good sign considering how many threes they've given up, because that'll normalize a little bit. I mean, that's just it's unlikely they're going to give up 39% from 3 for the season. So this opportunity now with these, they should be able to win 4 in a row, or that would be 5. So we'll see what happens.
Well, the other part of that is they're not going to shoot 22% from 3. Now, I'm not saying they're going to shoot much more than that. But I mean, they ought to be able to creep around that 30 some odd percent mark, low 30% mark. It'll all even out. And look, they've had the 3-game going a little more. They're not going to be a team that's going to be a volume 3-point shooting team. That game tomorrow at 4:00. I'll have it for you on ESPN. On the radio side, 3:30 the airtime here on 94.3 The Game and 107.9. Tonight, interesting matchup. Kentucky is already playing their 4th-ranked opponent. So I don't know how good Kentucky is, but I know one thing: they've played a hell of a schedule, and they'll play Gonzaga tonight in Nashville.
Yeah, we haven't seen Kentucky at full strength yet. Jalen Lowe, who came over from Pittsburgh, was really supposed to fortify their backcourt. Not the most efficient guy for the Panthers last year, but certainly was very productive. He has only played 2 games. And then Jaden Quintonitz, who's 6'9" with about a 7'4" wingspan, came over from Arizona State and is really the only guy on this roster who is showing up on any NBA mock drafts. He's yet to play either. So they obviously need some help on the offensive end. If the 10 minutes without a basket, that was sending some people. I'm sure out of Rene the other night, not in the best mood. And this Gonzaga team is just so impressive, and regardless of the fact that the last time they played, they lost by 40 points, which was one of that Michigan game is one of the best performances I can remember in college basketball in a long time. But the Zags are good. This is maybe Mark Few's best team, or certainly one of his 2 or 3 best teams, and I would expect they would win comfortably tonight. But you never know. I just don't know how Kentucky can score enough points to keep up with them.
Yeah. As we mentioned, lots of great matchups tomorrow. I'm going to start with in the state. Your boy Will Wade in NC State. They're playing Unca tomorrow. They should win. That's at the Lenovo Center, the computer box, whatever the hell they're calling it. So at some point, and I was being told Ovius and Giglio said this, and I respect Joe. Ovius, your mileage may vary, but I'm just wondering. At some point, you can talk the talk, but you have to win games at some point. And NC State is not rattled. Now, again, it's this is all the caveat. It's the backdrop against this is early. And I still think Will Wade has a ton of equity with WPN. I don't think there's any, but there is a little put up or shut up to this, because when they've played what most people would consider teams with the pulse, they've not won.
Correct. Yeah, and the Texas loss to me was the bad one on there. You could kind of see the Seton Hall loss coming. I was at the VCU game a week before, and their defense was very poor, and slow rotations, and giving up wide open shots and drives to the basket on the weak side. And they looked the same way against Seton Hall, gave up 85 points, and the defense has certainly been the problem. I don't think anybody questions Will's ability to coach offense and his ability to, the guys on this team, Darian Williams and Copeland and the freshman McNeil. I mean, they're uber talented, and there's no doubt that they can put it in the basket. But when you just look at their defense, has just not been good. They're 90th in the nation, 240th in effective field goal percentage. And like you said, whenever they've been challenged, no shame in losing at Auburn. But the 2 neutral losses to Seton Hall and specifically Texas, who I just have not been very impressed with, to allow them to score 102 points in that game. It's really hard to win a basketball game when you give up 102. And they've got they don't have too many more opportunities, but they do have Kansas at home before Christmas, a week from now, and they do have Ole Miss in the state. And those are 2 games they need to win. If not, they're going to be in a situation where they have to be a top 4 ACC team, and they could do that. But there's no doubt the league is better, top to bottom. Virginia has upgraded, and certainly Louisville is a contender for the championship. North Carolina is better than they were last year.
Yep.
Clemson's still Clemson. So, there's not going to be a ton of quad one opportunities necessarily in the ACC. So they need to beat Kansas and Ole Miss, and they need to start that train, tomorrow, but with an impressive performance on the defensive end against an undermanned, overmatched Asheville team, also coached by another former VCU guy, Mike Morrell, who was on that staff as well there in 2011.
Yeah, Morrell, a great coach. The game on the CW network tomorrow, which is the new Raycom. All right, let's talk about some of the kind of ranked matchups within the top 25 according to the worldwide leader. 2 at noon tomorrow, 1 on CBS, number 1 Purdue, number 10 Iowa State. Fox tomorrow, I know Pilk's excited. Nooner between 4th-ranked Duke and number 7 Michigan State. In East Lansing, how about that? Who says the Blue Devils don't go on the road and play anybody? The other ones that you mentioned it, 6th-ranked Louisville. I think Indiana is 22nd. So that's intriguing to me. You got Illinois and Tennessee in Rocky Top. Actually, they'll be at the Bridgestone Arena as well in Nashville tomorrow. So in the Volunteer State. That's a top 15 affair. I'm also interested in a couple of games here that might be at the mid-major level. Furman and Harvard, just based on name recognition. ODU and Richmond, because there's a little bit of a rivalry thing there. That'll be on USA tomorrow at 12:30. And there was one other, Norfolk State at James Madison. I think a nice test for both sides there. Robert Jones, who does an outstanding job and is a criminally underrated basketball coach. So those are just some of the Saturday tilt games that stand out to me. I'll let you handle any of those you want to take. I would presume you'd start with the Blue Devils here, but to you, Mr. Mull, I defer.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan State has, we always expect Tom Izzo to have his team ready in March, but this is as good as I can remember a Michigan State team looking this time of the year, and in an era when a lot of his peers are, stepping aside and saying that they've had enough of this, crazy world they have to negotiate and navigate in college basketball. Tom Izzo's 38-7 the last 2 seasons, and 2 seed and Elite 8 finished last year, and 8-0, and just really a nice looking squad. I mean, have been dominant whenever they've played a real opponent. Smashed Iowa in the Big Ten opener. Nice win over Kentucky. Squeezed one out against Arkansas, which that win's going to look better and better as the year goes over. I really like John Calipari's backcourt and his team down there in Fayetteville. So this is by far, in my opinion, the stiffest test yet for this Duke team. Anytime you have to play a true road game against an opponent of this caliber, and especially a team like Michigan State that is going to punish the glass. And if there is a weakness for the Blue Devils that I've seen to this point, the defensive rebounding has been a glaring hole at times, giving up too many second chances. Got pounded by the very tall Florida Gators the other night and gave up a ton of offensive rebounds. So if Duke doesn't shore up the defensive glass, they very well may face their first defeat of the season. But that's okay. I think you can't put too much into one game. The fact that you're playing this game, the fact that you're going to learn a lot, that you're going to get a physical opponent like this, all those things are going to help Duke, young Duke team, down the stretch. So that's going to be a great matchup. I'm not sold on Iowa State or Purdue. The metrics certainly love them both. We'll see. I mean, but the cool thing about all those games you just mentioned is those are all games that, like, if you were reading me the Sweet 16 schedule in March or the Elite 8 schedule, that's all very believable. And that's, again, what we want to see. You've got the Big Ten already playing conference games in some cases. And, it's terrific.
It's pretty interesting. I forget what I was going to say there. I was going to point something out to you there. Anyway, with Prudhomme, yes. Well, look, I don't care what the metrics say. I do know this: Matt Painter is still on the sidelines. And to quote the late great Bobby Knight when referring to Denny Crum, no, it wasn't Denny Crum. It was Dale Brown, referring to Dale Brown. He said, "I knew we were." It's a reporter asked Knight, was he worried when he was there with when they were down something with 4 minutes to go? And he said, "I was until I looked down the sideline and saw Dale Brown was coaching the other team." So right there, the same thing would apply with Matt Painter. You should be worried in a close game if you're down with 4 minutes to go. But then you look down and Matt Painter's on the sideline on the opposite bench, and so you got to feel pretty good about it. All right, I'm just running my mouth. Let's really quick. I want to work in the Tar Heels. They're taking on Georgetown. That is a 5:00 Friday, or 5:00 Sunday deal. 5:00 somewhere. Quick primer on that one, Brian.
Yeah, big development for the Tar Heels the other night is the emergence of Dixon. I think the questions of the viable, realistic questions were the guard play, particularly point guard play, and for Hubert to put him in a situation to trust him to take the 3-pointer and then put the ball in his hands for the last go ahead points there. Really says a lot about what he thinks of him and what he can be. I mean, he's certainly a 4-star recruit coming out of high school, and I like the way the bigs have been consistent. They've got to figure out a better way to get Caleb Wilson in some better spots. I'd put him on the low block a little bit more, a little high-low with the 7-footer who can pass. But the guard play there in Chapel Hill looking up, and this is a nice-looking team. They're defending, and they've got a toughness and a chemistry that we certainly didn't see last year. So Hubert, hats off. They had some nice plays coming out of some timeouts as well the other night. And I think if you're a Carolina fan, you've got to back off of Hubert a little bit and watch this team evolve.
All right, Brian, hey, enjoy the hoops weekend, my friend. We will talk to you again very soon.
Okay. Everybody have a great weekend and be safe out there.
Thanks to Brian Mull. Good stuff with he and Rene today. Fun show. All right, Pilk and I will come back. We will wrap things up and get you set for the weekend. It is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game, streaming at 943thegame.com, and we, of course, are on the IBX Media app. And if you've missed a show, check us out on the app, or if you just want to relive the magic. All right, we'll be back to get you set for the weekend after this timeout.
And now, the stunning conclusion.
Why is everyone screaming?
On 94.3 The Game.
I was so excited to start my weekend here that I almost got up, Pilk, and left because I thought the show was over. These were the towels I gave away back at the beginning of the basketball season.
Ooh, I like those.
Pilk.
I like
Yeah,
them.
they are pretty sweet, aren't they? Yeah. It's the motif of the new court on a rally towel. Cool stuff. All right, man. Two of my favorite guests, two friends, so that helps. But two of my favorite guests in Rene Ingolia and Brian Mull with us on the program. Lots of good stuff. What you got going on there, Alfalfa?
I don't know. I had like a cow. I did look like alfalfa, blonde alfalfa.
Little maintenance on the fairway there, Dennis the Menace. Come on. All right, so Pilk is headed to the Queen City. He's going to root on the Dukies. I'm sure he's going to tune in tomorrow to watch Duke basketball, and he's going to tune in to ESPN Plus to watch the Pirates tomorrow take on UNCG. I think it's going to be a hell of a game tomorrow between East Carolina and the Spartans of Greensboro, UNC Greensboro, because I do believe this is a UNCG team. They're battle-tested. They are feeling like, okay, this is a chance for us to pivot, reset our season. And for the Pirates, I think it's pretty simple, Pilk. You've got to figure out a way to make sure that you have the same effort defensively that you've had the last two times out.
Exactly. And, this is a team who prides themselves on defense. And just early through the season, those first few games, like, man, this is not a Mike Schwartz coach team. And now all of a sudden, I think something kind of flipped midway through the first half of that St. Bonaventure game where they've really started to play how Coach Schwartz would want them to play defensively. You and I have also talked about it. It seems like Jordan Riley is now kind of settled into what it's like to be the true number one star on a college basketball court. So I think this team has finally found their identity. It's just like you said, it's a matter of doing it for 40 minutes. They did it for 40 minutes the other night. And like I said, Greensboro record is not exactly what they want it to be. But like you said, battle tested. Sometimes there's really tough schedules early in the season, just like some teams play cupcakes, some teams play it tough. The Spartans have played it tough, and this is a big opportunity. And, this is the second game of a 5-game homestand that you really need to take, at least 4 of these games. Buffalo's going to come in next Sunday. They're tough. They're actually, I think they might still be unbeaten unless they've lost here in the last couple of days. But, this is one of those games that can kind of set your tone for the rest of the season.
Airtime tomorrow, 3:30 on 94.3 The Game and 107.9 WNCT for East Carolina and UNC Greensboro with the 4:02 tip. Death, taxes, and Tarboro making the football championship.
Hey, there you go.
Tarboro just hammered Warren County last night, 40-0. Kinston and our boy T-Cop and his son knocked off the number 1 seed, James Keenan, in the 3A East, so the Vikings are going to the finals. Congrats to Kinston. Tough one for West Craven, nipped by Reedsville, 23-21. Hunt ends the great season that Northside was having. So Hunt will be going to the state playoffs. Shout out to our guy, John Smith, the AD over there.
Why did they play all these games last night? Can we not play in mud anymore?
Hang on. I'll get to that in a second. I'll let you have your moment here. Tonight it is Jacksonville playing Middle Creek at 7:00. So, and then Wilson Prep has already made it as one of the True East teams. We always like it with the True East. Shout out to Clayton Scott Chadwick, who coached Drake May in high school. Clayton knocked off Cardinal Gibbons last night to go to the 7A state championship next week in football. He's a great guy. Because they bought to the hype machine. The fear casting won out from the TV weather scientists.
Stupid. No, football is meant to be played in weather. If it's cold, if it's rainy, hey, that's football weather. Patrick, real quick, in the last few minutes, you ever see the movie Gus, the Don Knotts football movie? He left the Andy Griffith show, and at the end, they're playing in the Super Bowl, and the mud's everywhere, the ball's flying around. That's what football's supposed to look like, baby. Play in the mud. Who cares if it's raining?
Hey, I'll be on ESPN Plus tomorrow at 4, and then Sunday for ECU women's basketball at 2:00. So check me out there and on Talk of the Town next week. Thanks to Rene Ingolia. Thanks to Brian Mull. Thanks to Philip the Ref Pilkington. And most of all, thanks to you. Have a great and safe weekend, everybody. Go Pirates this weekend, and we'll know where we're going bowling next week.